And what's happening out there, guys? Welcome along to another episode of 420 News, and it is brought to you by Martin's World. Martin's World is brought to you by me, Martin Condon. Hope everybody's good, guys. Welcome back. Apologies there for Wednesday, guys. I had a show lined up for you on Wednesday, but just for personal reasons, my family needed me more than you needed me, I'm sure. So I had to step up their priorities and all of that. All is well, everybody's okay. So nothing to be worried about. We'll drive on with the 420 news today. We're back at it, and it's always good to be back. See the comments coming in there already, guys. I see Greenbird out there. See Mustawes. Hope you're well, guys. Roll up. Happy high day, everybody. Got an old bowl here ready to go. What's happening out there, guys? I see Dave, Camsey HD, Peter, Hype, Casa de Dragas, and Keith. What's happening, guys? We got Dave out there as well. What's up, boys? Hope you're all good. Hope everybody's ready for a lovely weekend ahead. I know I am. So happy 420 there, guys. Oh, yummy. No 420 news shows is going to be complete without engaging in some form of civil disobedience protesting. Who else is out there? Keith, what's happening, man? Hope you're good. I'm doing very good, man. Thanks for asking. John, what's going on? Good evening, bud. Evening all, you tiny whiny people. Excellent stuff. Where's that alert box? Bring that alert box out the front. It's behind me. Sorted. Who else is out there? Mustawes, he says, no bother, Martin. Happy to hear you and the family are all good. Delighted, man. Christy Casey says, Martin, you keep him well? Very good, man. And Ferg is out there as well. What's happening, Ferg? Pat Whelan as well. Legend there, Pat, for the old super chat. Sending in the old pair character, cheerfully blowing on a party horn, it says here. Legend, man. Thanks very much for supporting the show. Much appreciated as always. Right, guys, we'll start getting stuck into the news there in 1 or 2 more seconds. I see Alter Ego out there, Owen, Monsieur Fudge, Christy. What's happening, guys? And John O'Regan also dropping in there as well. What's happening, John? Hope you're good, man. And Casa the Drugas there as well. He says, wishing the fam health and happiness. Welcome back. Thanks very much there. And again, as always, thanks very much for supporting the show. With all your support there, guys, it'll help me engage more in some of these activities that you've been seeing me and supporting me doing over the last few months. We should be very near to getting this activist hub up and running here in the city, so we can bring people together to not only organise ourselves, but so we can socialise a little bit too. It's been a long winter. We've been all kind of locked up, so as the government have said, it's going to be a very outdoorsy summer this year, and I can't wait to get outdoors and engage with all you guys out there in the cannabis community, and put together a hub as well where we can come together and organise ourselves. So I look forward to all that, guys, and I will update you as it comes. So let's get stuck into the first piece of today's news, again, which is my own news. Tooting my own horn here a little bit, but just also wanting to raise awareness of a great charity that I will be supporting in the 420-kilometre challenge that I'm undertaking tomorrow. We start tomorrow, myself and my daughter. I'm going to be running it, and she's going to be cycling it. We're going to engage in 14 kilometres a day for 30 days over the course of the month of May. So obviously there's 31 days in May there, so we're giving ourselves an old day off at some stage, hopefully anyway. But 14 kilometres a day for 30 days, and that will see us complete 420 kilometres then at the end of the challenge. Over the month I will be interviewing some patients that have been benefiting amazingly from cannabis, so I look forward to bringing them to you. And also over the month then we will be raising money for the Laura Lynn's Children's Hospice. That's an amazing charity that does some amazing work above in Dublin. They help children with severe life-limiting conditions, and they also assist the parents as well. Things like overnight stays and just having the wards equipped with everything that a parent and child needs while enduring some of these lengthy stays that some of these kids have to endure. So again, I think to date, I believe we've actually surpassed the €420 mark. I believe over on Facebook there's almost €170 after being raised, and I believe over on I Donate we've over €300 donated. I think we're very close, if not already, after surpassing the €420 target. But nonetheless, guys, keep supporting, keep sharing. Let's raise as much as we can here for the Laurellands Children's Hospice, while also raising much needed awareness as to the benefits of cannabis access and the people out there in need of access to it here in Ireland, because the current medicinal cannabis access program, it's a fucking joke. It really is. It's not fit for purpose. We've thousands of people out there still relying on illegally sourced cannabis, relying on organised criminal gangs to bring them their medicine, to bring them a substance which gives them a better quality of life. When I say medicine, you know, it's just giving them a better quality of life quite often or not, especially for people in chronic pain. You know, for a person to be suffering with chronic pain and to be able to alleviate that pain, bringing a pain that could be at maybe an 8, 9 or a 10 down to a 2 or a 3, that's life-changing for that person to be able to do that. So we'll be engaging in that kind of awareness raising over the month, and as long as needs to be afterwards too. Because, you know, the biggest barrier to patients accessing cannabis currently is the prohibition of the plant. And that's what needs to be changed. And that's my mission. That's my objective, is to see the prohibition of cannabis removed, and for our community to be no longer discriminated against. You know, I chatted earlier this morning there with Alan from the NI Canna guy, and I shared that video up on my Facebook earlier if you want to check it out. But in that video I kind of talked to Alan about how we as a community, we can't allow this discrimination to go on any further. And if we were to accept, say, a law which would allow us to grow plants at home, but that law would restrict us in our ability to grow plants in our home, and that law would also restrict us in our ability to possess that same plant we grew in our home, well, then we're accepting a form of discrimination that no other person out there kind of experiences. You know, if you're an alcohol drinker, you're not limited in your ability to go and possess alcohol. You're not limited in your ability to brew it at home. Much like if you're a tobacco consumer, you're not limited in your ability to go out and buy cigarettes or the amount in which you possess. Why would we as a cannabis community accept it? So I talk about that there with Alan, but I'm just bringing it up here again to yourselves, guys, because you know, just remember it. You know, while we'll be all very happy if the government in the morning said, okay guys, you can grow one plant, great. You know, I would be happy with that too, you know, but still, I would still be campaigning for wider access, because there's no reason we shouldn't be allowed to grow 2, 3, 4, 5 plants, you know, and there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to possess, you know, 1, 3, 5, 10 ounces. There's no reason, like, and to accept it is to accept discrimination, which nobody should be expected to do, especially when we do no harm to anybody. Like, I have cannabis right here, right now, and I'm doing no harm to anybody. And I don't think we should be accepting any form of discrimination, especially in policies that are going to govern our community further. So it's just something to be thought about and conversed about too. If cannabis was to be legalized, why should we accept a limitation in the amount of plants we can grow and the amount of cannabis we can possess and walk around with? Why? Do you know what? Just ask yourself that question. Why? Why should you accept it? What is that saying about you? What is that saying about how the government trusts you? Just think about it. So we'll drive on, guys, and again, just it's Facebook and I Donate where you can find the place to support the charity there, the Laurellands Children's Hospice. So going onwards then, guys, there was another story that came to my attention where there was a butcher up in front of a judge. And again, the judges loving their old jokes, and I love an old pun myself, in fairness, like, but he says to the butcher that he's not buying his cock and bull story, and I definitely think there's an old pun in there anyway. But the judge anyway laying into this man who was caught with €700 worth of cannabis, guy by the name of Stephen Fitzpatrick, who was only 38 years of age. He also claimed that the weighing scales which he was caught with was to split the drugs equally among him and 3 of his friends. And he was up recently in the Balbriggan District Court, but he was up in front of Judge Dermot Dempsey, who said that he did not accept the remarks, and does he think that this is the first time I have heard such a cock and bull story, before handing him a 4-month suspended sentence. A 4-month suspended sentence for having €700 worth of cannabis and a scales. Guys, who out there would, if you and 3 of your friends, a €700 worth of cannabis, let's say that's about an ounce, I'd say, that they got caught with, maybe 30 grams. So let's say 30 grams of cannabis the lads got caught with, and they were splitting it 3 ways, 10 grams each. How are you going to do it? You can't eyeball Paul it, you know what I mean? I want that one, do you know what I mean? How are you going to split it? You have to have a weighing scales. It was 35 grams of cannabis, actually, that they got caught with. So again, you have to have a scales here, because there's no way you're going to eyeball Paul that if you want to do a fair split. One fella's going to end up with 10 grams, another fella with 15, you know, otherwise, and that's not good. So if you've any bit of cop on, you're going to have a scales, especially if you're a person who consumes cannabis regularly, and if you're buying it regularly. You want to buy a weighing scales. You just can't trust your dealer to give you what he's saying he's giving you. How many times out there, people, have you bought a 50 bag and your man, yeah, there's 3.5 grams there, and you go home and there's 2.8, 3, you know, and you're just like, for fuck's sake, because quite often or not, you actually would have a scales, but who drives around with the scales? Who goes to pick up stuff from their dealer, and actually weighs it in front of them? It would be cheeky enough old thing to do, but you would definitely check it afterwards, so you know in future, you know, maybe next time you would bring it, because come here, I weighed that the last time, man, and you let me short, but really, how many of you out there went and bought a scales and you're not engaged in dealing? There's a lot of us, I would imagine. I had a scales for quite a bit of time when I wasn't engaged in dealing. You know, you get it to protect yourself. This guy anyway, he had 10 previous convictions, including a previous for unlawful possession of drugs. Sergeant Terry Ferguson told the Balbriggan Drugs Unit obtained a warrant and searched the defendant's home. The defendant told Gardai he had cannabis upstairs, and the cannabis and weighing scales were located and seized, and the defendant admitted ownership of the drugs. His solicitor Fiona Darcy said the defendant, who works as a butcher, was one of 3 people to share the cannabis. He was not selling on the street, and he has stopped smoking cannabis now, of course. You know what I mean? That's a very regular thing. And adding the defendant is throwing himself at the mercy of the court. When asked by the judge why he would need scales if he was selling the drugs, the defendant replied, I wanted to split it equally in 3. But the judge didn't accept the excuse and gave him 4-month suspended sentence. But he suspended it for 2 years. And he also gave him a €300 fine. So, your man now has to have this hanging over his head for the next 2 years. So the guy who enjoyed a bit of cannabis, probably worked 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, maybe consumed his cannabis responsibly, probably didn't really have a drug use problem. He was holding down his job, not really for wanting to speak for his employer, but maybe he was a very good worker, you know, showing up on time, dedicated to his job, and the guy liked a bit of herb on the side. You know, why is this an issue? Is it not, do we want this guy to be a drunk? You can only use the approved drugs of society, and it's going to be okay, and we're not going to judge and criminalise and discriminate against you, you know, and take away your hard-earned money and you know, your drug of choice. Crazy. Why do we accept this? It's just so bang out of order. A 4-month sentence, suspended for 2 years. 2 years now, the stress and pressure that will go through over this man, because should he look at somebody wrong on the street, you know, he could end up getting a fucking 4-month sentence slapped down on him. He gets caught with another joint, and there you go, thanks very much, there's your 4-month sentence. 4 months, guys, that's, how much is that? 12 months of the year, 100 grand a year average for a prisoner. So you're looking at maybe 30 odd grand there to keep this guy locked up for 4 months. 30 odd grand for a man who's working his job, paying his taxes, and probably just engages in society in a beneficial way. Maybe at the weekend he likes to go to the cinema, smoke a little bit of cannabis. When he goes to the cinema, again, he's supporting jobs, going to the cinema, paying taxes on his popcorn. You know what I mean? Like, locking this man up, how does it benefit society at all? Who's it protecting? As I said, the cinema is going to lose out. There's going to be one less worker there now in the butcher's trade. Do you know what I mean? That employer is going to have to go and try to find a new staff member. Maybe he had a long time relationship with this guy. He's after been working with this guy for the last 10 years. That's going to be very hard to replace now for that employer. Like, look how many ways in which society pays a price for this fucking failed war on drugs. And it's got to end. Like, who benefits from this? Like, the people who benefit in this situation, the solicitors are benefiting, the Gardai are benefiting, the judges are benefiting, the politicians are fucking benefiting, because they don't have to do some stuff about underlying issues in our society. The people out there with real drug addictions, you know, that they're not actually getting the real help that they need. Instead, the help they're getting, they're finding themselves up in front of judges. And then other people, such as this guy here, who I don't believe he has an addiction. He just got caught with a bit of cannabis. That's his biggest problem. He got caught with it. And how many people out there have that same problem? They get caught with cannabis and then it creates a problem in their life. Whereas up until that point, where until they got caught, they had never had a problem with cannabis, except maybe when they couldn't get it because their dealer was out of it. You know, that was probably the biggest problem they encountered with cannabis up to that point. You know, that's by and large a lot of people's experience with cannabis. It's overall largely positive, unless you get ripped off, unless you're getting shit that's not cannabis, you know, when you're getting it sprayed with stuff, you know, all of these nasty things that can happen as a result of prohibition. That's not the cannabis's fault, and as for those negative experiences, do you know, the amount of people that have a negative experience related to just the cannabis alone, it's small. It'd be less than 1%. I could nearly guarantee it would be far less than 0.1% probably of the number of people who experience problems just related to the cannabis alone. Because a lot of the times it's the prohibition. It's the prohibition why you can't get access to the quality control at the point of sale. You know, information such as the THC content. So if you're a person, your very first time trying it, you can protect yourself. You can go down and get your Bud Light instead of your fucking your poutine. Do you know what I mean? And that's a massive difference as well. And like, as it is for alcohol, it is for cannabis. Like, going down, getting a strain of cannabis that has 1% THC versus 30% THC, 20% CBD versus 0% CBD. That's going to make a major difference to the people. Need to be protected, and the government need to step up. And you know, the longer they go on and not really engage in this issue, is that the longer they benefit from this fucking failed war on drugs. So we drive on, guys. The next news story is coming out of Longford. So in Longford there was €33,000 worth of cocaine and €6,000 worth of cannabis found during a raid. And of course the old boys, as they do, they love to get their old tweet out about it, or it was a Facebook post actually. I believe this one is, one sec, I'll pop this up on screen feed there now. Boom, there you go, that's up on screen feed now. So the Gardai seized 33,000 worth of cocaine and 6 grand's worth of cannabis following a search conducted as part of the operation targeting the sale and supply of illegal drugs in Longford this morning, to 29th of April 2021. Yeah, remember, somebody was paid to write this post within the force of a Gardai. Like, you know, it's bad enough they were paid to take away the cannabis from somebody, but they were actually paid to fucking sit down in front of a computer and put up a Facebook post and a tweet up on Twitter about their waste of resources, you know. The Gardai from the Roscommon and Longford Divisional Unit, with the assistance of the Divisional Drugs Unit, carried out a search on the warrant at a number of houses in the Richmond Street area of Longford. During the course of the search, one sec, now I'm going to pop that up. During the course of the search, 33,000 worth of cocaine and 6 grand worth of cannabis pending analysis were recovered, and an amount of cash was also recovered. There was no arrest made at the time, and the investigation is ongoing. So again, like, what a waste of time there above in Longford. Like, the cannabis and the cocaine, while it's going to be sent for analysis, again, like, at the expense of the state as well, might I add. Like, this is me and you out there, if you're paying taxes in Ireland in any way, like, that's our money that's being used to pay for this. Like, Are you happy about this? Like, stand up and say something about this. Even if you don't use cannabis, if you don't use drugs, like, you're paying the price for this failed war on drugs. And we need to change this, because it's just going to continue. Like, there's never really going to be an end to this, and our kids are going to be at risk. You know, there's so many kids out there currently at risk of being recruited into the trade, into drug dealing, and that's got to change. You know, last week they were using the kids as a way in which the fearmonger people about, you know, these drug dealers and these unscrupulous gangs who are targeting our kids with their very alluring packaging on their jellies. You know, and it has to be a kids. Like, why else? Like, because sure, adults definitely don't buy packs of jellies because they're colourful and attractive. No, I've never been once attracted to a packet of Roundtree fruit pastilles because of the lovely colours on the front and the glistening sugar covering the pictures. You know what I mean? I've never been attracted to that. So like, while they use the kids, we should also use the kids in our argument, because regulation is really going to protect the kids. If you're really concerned about the kids, regulate and control these drugs. Put age limits in place. Put advertising standards in place. You know, put maybe plain packaging requirements there on the packaging of cannabis. You know, maybe have these kind of conversations rather than warning parents about it and then continuing to put the kids in danger by leaving in place the failed prohibition that created the problem in the first place. No, they'll never really engage in an honest conversation here, will they? No, they won't. So we'll drive on. We go driving on up to Limerick. Up in Limerick, there was a massive drug seizure there above in Limerick during the week. This was on Monday evening, actually. Monday evening after I had finished the 420 news, and Monday evening there was 3 men arrested following it started off as a car search. There was a car stopped and searched. I think there was like 20 grand's worth of cannabis found inside in the car, and then there was a follow-up search afterwards. There was a follow-up search afterwards, and at a property in the Ballina area. Not Ballina, Jesus. I get it up here now because working off at the top of my head here now, recalling what I read. Get me notes up. So the Gardai, working as part of ongoing operation targeting the sale and supply of drugs in Limerick, stopped 2 cars, one in the Valley and the second in the Thomond Gate at around 6:30 on Monday. So the officers from the Limerick Divisional Drugs Unit searched both cars and found 20 grand's worth of cannabis herb in each vehicle. So in total, 40 grand's worth of cannabis, 2 kilos there. And 2 drivers, men aged in their 40s and 50s, were arrested and brought to Henry Street and the Roxborough Garda station. And then there was 2 follow-up searches which were carried out with the assistance of the Armed Support Unit shortly before 8 p.m. And the Gardai carried out the search at an apartment on Henry Street, where they found 170 grand's worth of suspected cocaine and 124 grand of cannabis herb. A third man aged in his 60s was arrested at the scene and brought to the Henry Street Garda station. At around 10:30, then Gardai carried out a second search at a house in Valley, where another 5 grand's worth of cannabis herb was found alongside a sum of cash. No arrests made following this search. Obviously, they had enough people in custody. Like, they had 3 people there already, like a man in his 40s, a man in his 50s, and a man in his 60s. And the Gardai said that the suspected drugs will be now sent to the Forensic Science Ireland for analysis, and all 3 men were detained under Section 2 of the Criminal Justice Drug Trafficking Act of 1996. And have since been charged. They will appear before the Limerick City Court, and that was on Tuesday morning. They appeared in court, and that case has been put back. I believe it's going to be put back until maybe later in the next month. I don't have an exact date there as to when it's been put back, but again, like, well, what a waste of time. 3 men being arrested here for what is, all right, there is a bit of cocaine in there. All right, fair enough, 170 grand's worth of cocaine in there, but then you've nearly 200 grand's worth of cannabis inside there. Like, the cannabis is probably one of the most easiest things there to legalise and regulate, but I'm not saying cocaine isn't either. Again, there's many chemists out there already where we could just incorporate cocaine over the counter, much like we do with other drugs such as Viagra. And we allow adults to be responsible about their use of other drugs that they can go down and buy over the counter. Why can't we allow them to be responsible about their use of cocaine? But better again, well, let's actually set up a program of educating people as to the benefits of using the coca leaf. Chewing on the coca leaf, you know, putting in, making different kind of paste from it. Much more natural ways of working with it, where you don't need to engage in the destruction of the jungle, the use of extremely damaging chemicals to make these things, where these chemicals are then poured off into the environment. Many ways in which the environment is paying a price here for this failed war on drugs, whereas if we were to regulate it, put in place maybe fair trade regulations over there at the point of production, over in places like Peru and stuff like that, where cocaine is kind of being made and processed, and then you could be assured there's no blood then going to be attached to the trade once it gets here. And then a consenting adult can walk in and make an educated purchase. I think that would be a much more responsible thing to do, as opposed to having cannabis and cocaine sold from the same spot, from a criminal who doesn't need to request an ID, who doesn't need to pay taxes, who doesn't need to follow any rules at all. In fact, what they're doing is going against the rules. They're breaking the law to do what they're doing. So how can you expect these people to have any morals? So the best thing you could do is provide a safe and regulated avenue for people to get access to their drug of choice, and then people who actually have morals and ethics will come out and set up shop, and they will provide the drug of choice to their consumers, with quality in place, you know, taxes being paid, and you know, those taxes that would be used then for helping to fund programs of education. And the small percentage of people who might experience addiction and things like that as a result of drug use, those people can be afforded access to better healthcare, because they don't need to be criminalized in order to get treatment for their addiction. You know, isn't that a much more sensible thing to do? There's idiots out there who think it's not. Like, they think prohibition is great. Like, let's keep going with prohibition. Let's keep supporting the Kinahans, the Hutches, and all of those other crime gangs out there who benefit so fucking much from it. Let's keep on doing that, like, because it's worked so well up until now, hasn't it? Seriously, like, how long more? Like, really, like, I don't know. I definitely think there's going to be a change over the next 12 months here in Ireland. Let's see. 12 months. I'm just going to say it, right? It's the end of April now. Let's see where we're at the end of April next year. I don't know. Does anybody want to put maybe 50 quid on it that by this time next year we're going to see some form of changing in our drug policies? It's definitely a move towards decriminalisation. And yeah, that's what I would say. Something in the form of a decriminalisation. I don't know, would it be decriminalisation of the drug user or decriminalisation of the cannabis consumer? But I'll throw 50 on both. Who's going to put money on it? Who's going to bet against me? But yeah, I definitely feel that there's definitely a change coming, and I just definitely want more people to step up, guys. Start making noise. Let's get out there. As I say, it's going to be an outdoorsy summer this year. Let's fucking be a catalyst this summer, before we're locked down again by our government, and let's make as much noise as we can, both for the decriminalisation of the cannabis plant and the drug user. But both are very worthwhile campaigns that need as much support as they can get. And let's drive on, guys, because there was a major search operation that went underway there. I believe this was yesterday. Yesterday, where armed Gardai arrested 4 and seized drugs and weapons in a major search operation in Tipperary, which even saw the enlistment of the our defence forces. The defence forces and all were out and searching here. There was 18 grams worth of cannabis found, along with a number of firearms. And here in the picture, you can see it, like the Gardai pictured alongside members of our defence forces up searching a field in Tipperary. And again here, like, another indicator as to how prohibition has failed. Drugs and guns. This isn't the way. This is not the way it's supposed to be. Again, you can go up to my local supermarket and you can buy cigarettes. That's a drug. My local supermarket, the local shop up the road, Deckies, like, they're not going to have a gun behind the counter. They don't have a tick listing behind there, and when they put down the shutters at 9 o'clock, they roll around the neighbourhood fucking breaking legs, enforcing, you know, the collection of their money. They don't do that, despite them selling what is a drug. or tobacco is a drug. They also sell coffee up there. You know, and if they were to sell wine, they wouldn't be doing that either. Why aren't they doing that? Because regulation works. Yes, regulation works. When you prohibit something and there's a massive demand for it, especially when it's a substance like cannabis or cocaine, there's going to be unscrupulous individuals going to step out of the shadows, and they're going to take up the trade. And these people are going to use fucking bad, nefarious ways in which they're going to carry out their trade. And we've seen an escalation of it over the years, and there's even been talk of that from within the ranks of the Gardai as to how the criminals are getting more ruthless. They're getting more violent. The shit that's going on in the streets, and when we see it like reported in the media, you know, the gangland killings going on, there's more reportings of it. There's definitely been an escalation of it over the last 20 years here in Ireland, a massive escalation of it. And I think that the best thing we can do is just end this prohibition, and we'll stop seeing shit like this. Do you know, if I've got a cannabis farm, if I'm allowed to set up a cannabis farm, and if anybody can set up a cannabis farm, then why I wouldn't even need a gun for it, do you know? Like the off license down the road, as I say, they don't need a gun, despite there being alcohol in there, and alcohol is a drug, and there's many people out there addicted to alcohol, but they don't need a gun to protect their premises. They don't. They can just roll down the shutters, put on the alarm, happy days, away they go. Why would you need that? Like for a cannabis store, again, and it shows you regulation works, prohibition does not. Prohibition puts guns together with drugs. It puts drugs together with other drugs. Polydrug use is very dangerous, and these people who sell these drugs have no shame in doing that. When I go down to my supermarket, when I buy paracetamol, I can only buy one box. Why can I buy only one box of paracetamol? Because regulation works. They don't want you buying 2 boxes of paracetamol, because that is a dangerous drug, and if you have 2 boxes of paracetamol, you could kill yourself with that. You could kill yourself with 1 box of paracetamol, you know. Cannabis, you can't do that. You could have as much cannabis as you want, and it'd be very hard to kill yourself with it unless you packed it very densely, put it up onto a very high building, and let it fall on top of you from a very high building. That's about the only way you're going to kill yourself with cannabis. So again, regulation works. We regulate this stuff, and we see the criminals go away from it. We see the violence and all of that negative shit go away from it. We see proper controls put in place that will protect kids and protect the consumers. I hope more people can get out with me over the summer, and I hope we can really undo and really help to undo this fucking prohibition, because it needs to be spearheaded. It really does, and it's people that's going to get it done. And as much as Twitter campaigns and all of this shit is great, like ringing politicians, guys, there's nothing stronger than the people on the street. People power is where it's at, and I definitely have lots of plans there for the summer ahead. So I really do look forward to engaging with that with you. I'll see some of your comments going in there. Sean Campion saying, RE Gardai in Cork. Saw an article recently, Garda members being charged with criminal activities. Not surprised, man, that's definitely been reported on before, where the Gardai have been caught being in bed with criminal gangs, you know, leaking information as to checkpoints and stuff like that. This has been going on for quite a long time within the ranks of the Gardai. The same is going on in prisons, like quite often or not, it's the prison officers bringing the drugs into prisons. The war on drugs has failed, like, you know, within the authorities who are supposed to be enforcing it, that they're corrupt themselves. They're engaging in it themselves. And that isn't unlike the prohibition in the past either. Like, we look at the prohibition from the 1920s of alcohol. Those prohibitionists, the agents of prohibition then, they used to go back to their own apartments and drink alcohol. The agents of prohibition at the time of prohibition of alcohol used to enjoy alcohol themselves. Some of them used to live in states that used to be known as like wet states, where alcohol was allowed, and they would travel over into states then where it was a dry state, and they would enforce the prohibition there, then going out busting people. Quite often or not, they were very selective as to how they were enforcing that prohibition, quite like how prohibition is enforced today. It's very much in Ireland, it's a kind of a class issue, and it's becoming more of a racial issue, and very much in America it was very largely a racial issue. So again, the war on drugs, it's not good. It corrupts in so many fucking ways. It's corrupt our society, it's corrupt our authorities, and it's corrupting our young people, like, and we need to move away from it. Here we go in another massive seizure there of over 1 million worth of suspected drugs seized. 3 persons arrested, and this was in County Meath yesterday. And this was relating to a number of pills there, as you can see. I think there's like wraps of cocaine there as well, and quite a large amount of cannabis there again. So again, like, it just highlights the dangers of prohibition, because you've got one drug dealer who's got multiple drugs there together. Like, what's to stop this guy? Let's say there's money there now at the moment in edibles. So let's say this guy gets into edibles. He wants to start making his own jellies, let's say. And he's got a load of pills, like, and he's jellies, you know. It's like, well, the cannabis oil is fucking, I don't know, €100 a gram, let's say. And these pills, I can get like fucking 100 of these pills for €10. And about 3 or 4 of these pills will make people feel like this 1 gram of oil that costs 100 quid, and those 3 or 4 pills are only worth like €3 or €4, like 30 or 40 cent even. I'll just crush up a few of them, mix them in there with the cake batter, and sure, people won't know the difference. Why won't they know the difference? Because there's no regulations in place. Consumers are not protected. So you buy from a guy like this, and you're at risk of buying an edible. And I think it's very important to highlight that to people, that the edibles out there, guys, they're fucking dangerous. Like, you don't know what you're getting inside them. I don't care where it's after coming from, unless it's after coming from somebody you know who's after making it themselves and you can trust them. If you order something from the dark web, if you order something from anywhere outside of your own trusted circle, and, you know, as I say, unless you know the person who's made it themselves, then you can't really guarantee it without testing it, that it actually is cannabis. It could be one of the synthetic cannabinoids, one of that fucking the U or the K2 stuff, you know, that spice shit. It could be anything at all. As I say, it could be crushed up fucking pills to make you feel off your face, thinking that you're after having a decent old brownie, that you're whacked. But meanwhile, no, you're actually just fucking pharmaceuticalized off your face. Like, you know, I don't know, people, you'd probably tell the difference maybe. But some people will be just, you know, oh man, I'm all out of it, but I feel whacked by it, you know. It's like, but really, like, I don't know. I don't know the effects of these pills. All right, I done D10s before going over to Thailand on an airplane, and I swear to God, I could barely remember the journey from London to Hong Kong. It was a blur, and I only took 2. I think I took 2 D10s or something like that, or was it D5s? I can't even remember what they were, but man, they weren't good. I've never taken them since. I would never take them again. Like, they were not fucking good at all. Like, I was out of it. Like, I couldn't remember shit. Like, it was a blur. I've never felt like that from cannabis. I love getting high before I fly. I love having a nice strong edible before getting on a plane if I know there's a nice long journey ahead, because it just makes it all the better. Man, that shit with the D10s, it literally just kind of like it like dimmed the lights down and even turned them off for a portion of the journey. Like, not good at all. Like, certainly not something you want ending up in your edibles. So we'll, what other comments are coming in out there, guys? And we'll belt on into more of the news there in a couple of seconds. 420 free to weed. Nice one, Aaron. And that's coming in from Aaron up in County Tyrone. Nice one there, Aaron. Much appreciated, and welcome along to the show. Christy Casey says, Martin, you keep him well. I'm doing good, Christy. Sean Nashakna, he says, new government made up of the people and not nutters in suits. There you go, guys. I actually, that's a good one, actually. Guys, is there anybody up there right now in Dublin South? There was a recent walkaway of a TD from, he resigned, whatever his face is, your man, the Minister for Housing, Murphy, something Murphy, wasn't it? I can't think of his name anyway, it doesn't matter. He did fucking nothing anyway, worthwhile for me to remember his name. But he's after resigning now. And there's an open seat there. So that means over the next 6 months, there's going to have to be a by-election to fill that vacancy. So guys, I'm just going to throw it out there. Is there anybody up there in the South Dublin area, which is the consistency in which this guy vacated a seat, that's willing to run? I would love to see somebody run up there, unless there's already somebody going to run up there who already represent the views and opinions of our community. I would love to see somebody from our community to step up for that challenge. Again, just in case you don't know, right? If you want to run, all you need to do, and it's going to cost you no money, is get 30 people from within that consistency to go to the local Garda station with their ID and sign a form which you can get online, or you can get from your local sheriff. which is a declaration of consent or something like that, or intent, where basically they're going to nominate you for the position. If you can get 30 of those nominations, you can run in the election and it won't cost you a penny. And you have to have your name up there. You have to get interviewed in the media. They have to give you a fair representation as well as the other candidates there as well. And it's a great opportunity if you're all looking to, I suppose, get experience in public speaking, in campaigning. Go for it. Like, I would highly recommend anybody at all out there, if you're all anyway interested in politics, or if you just have a strong view or opinion, beliefs on this, and if there's nobody running in that constituency, in that by-election, that represents your views, run yourself. Go for it. Like, I did it myself. Like, and you don't think you have to do it to get elected. Like, don't worry about that. Just focus on the message. That's what it's all about. That's what you're doing. That's what it's about. And you know what? That's what's going to get you the most votes. If you go up there and you speak from the heart, that's something that none of these other politicians can do. They cannot speak from the heart. They're going up there, they're reading out fucking pre-written statements from other people, and it's not coming from the heart. You know, they can try to throw their dramatics, you know, their drama classes into their speeches and what have you. Like, but they can't replicate a true speech which is coming from the heart. So I do, again, as I say, I encourage anybody at all to go out there and engage in the democratic process. Use your voice, and you never know what might happen. Stranger things have happened. You're very surprised you might get elected. So yeah, nice one for that one as well. I'm glad I was reminded of that there through the comments. What else is out there? John Finnegan says, Martin, always speaking the truth and saying what most of us are thinking, only more adequately. Nice one for that, John. Much appreciated, man. Nice one for the kind words. Sean as well saying here, the second you make up a story, the judge will eat you. You have to stand in your sovereignty and never admit guilt. You should challenge the judges on where he's getting jurisdiction over you. They take our time as if it grows back. Boils the blood, Martin, boils the mind. 100%, man. Do you know what? That's what really gets me, is they're taking time that you'll never get back. For me, that was exactly the thing that really annoyed me most about it, is having to go to the court. It's just like, bad enough I have to go there and argue, but it's like, it's time I'm never getting back. For me, those times I had to go to court, I had to miss work, I had to take days off of work, I missed out on a day's wage because of it. I would have to take days off of college, I would miss out on a day's education because of it. This is time and experience. Like, these are things I'll never get back again. Like, so yeah, I would agree with you there, man. That's something that resonates very strongly with me, is how we've been robbed of our time. And I would say here in the show, like, this activism, this campaigning, as much as I'm willing to give up this time, I would much rather, if I didn't have to, I would much rather to be out there right now. It's a lovely evening, taking the fishing rod, taking my daughter down to the river, taking the dogs down, chilling out, enjoying life, you know, as I would normally do in my spare time. But instead, I dedicate quite a large portion of my spare time to the campaign, to the cause, to a very righteous cause. One, I suppose, through my own experience, my own lived experience, I've been left with no choice really, but to get involved in it and give my time like this. But yeah, I'm more than happy to do it. We'll drive on there, guys, and Miss Dowes, nice one there as well for that super chat about 5 minutes ago. Sorry, I was ranting on there, and I probably didn't get a chance to read it. He says, go out and feedthebirds.ie and check that one out, guys. Feedthebirds.ie. That was a website set up there recently, I believe, by the guys over Little Collins. And yeah, you go over to feedthebirds.ie. You can sign up to the campaign there, and you will be posted out some cannabis seeds, so you can not only feed the birds, but engage in a civil disobedience campaign where we're going to hopefully see cannabis grown in roundabouts, flower boxes, windowsill boxes, you know, any crack and crevice around the town, around the island of Ireland. You know, we're going to hopefully have cannabis coming out of everywhere. So feedthebirds.ie, guys, check that one out. And Martin Horgan says they're never going to legalise something they make millions from and get their pensions from being illegal. Yeah, you see, there is a lot of vested interest there in keeping it illegal. But again, as I say, I think if we can really just get the people out there to overcome the fear that currently exists in our society around engaging in this topic. There's so many people out there fearful and speaking up because they might lose their jobs, might lose their kids, might lose their home. We have to help these people overcome that fear by, you know, creating a large community, one in which people feel safe in coming out and being a part of. And that's what I'm trying to do. And every day this community is growing. And I hope by the time, you know, the summer rolls around, it's not too far away now. What is it? It's tomorrow. So the start of summer tomorrow, isn't it? The 1st of May. So yeah, look forward to that. And tomorrow's the first day of May, where I'm going to be running 14 kilometers for charity. Yay! I look forward to that too. Anyone out there know what's the best strain? And that's coming in from Aaron McAleer on Facebook. Yeah, that's for me. Alan only asked me this one earlier today on the chat on the Nicana guy. Lemon skunk from DNA Genetics, the Reserva Privada, I believe. Amazing. I don't know if they stock it any longer, but it was fucking highly recommended. Highly recommended. Amazing stuff. Ryan McCarthy says, if I'm not locked up over a joint, I'll be right with you, bud. I hope you're not locked up over a joint, Ryan, man. Get in touch there, man, if you want to raise more awareness there as to your case and what's going on. And anybody else out there as well, you know, if you've got upcoming cases, if you've been harassed by the Gardai recently, and if you want to come and vent, get in touch with me. I'd be more than happy to give you a space to come and express yourself, to share your experiences and you know, how you're feeling as a result of those experiences. You know, that's what the show is here for. So do get in touch, guys. The more people that share those experiences, the more people will kind of see the effects the war on drugs is having on people. And very nice people too, I'd imagine. Like yourself, Ryan, man, you're probably a nice guy. And you're up in front of a judge now being treated like a criminal, when really the people should be up in front of judges should be the rapists, the murderers, and the real crooks in our society who do harm to us, you know. Even the fucking bankers there who corrupt the place. But look, we won't even get into that. We're not going to get into the bankers. Man, I see so many comments coming in there, guys. I'll just drive on with the news there, and we'll finish up then and with some more comments. Because the next bit of news there is that there was an honours student and a cathedral worker who turned to drug dealing to pay for their college fees. That was a headline that was in the Sunday World. And within that then, they described the couple as Belfast's Breaking Bad couple. Breaking Bad couple who turned to drug dealing on a commercial scale to provide for their family. Oh, excuse me. It says, despite having a master's degree in software design, Peter O'Hare found selling cannabis to his friends and friends of friends much more lucrative, but now he's behind bars. And that's a sad thing to be reporting on. So this guy who was just helping out his buddies, like how many of us out there, you know, you buy an ounce, you sort out your few buddies, and before you know it, it starts off with an ounce a week. Before you know it, you're getting 2 ounces a week, 4 ounces a week, and before you know it, you're actually making a few pound off of it. You know, you might be making an extra €100 a week, and it's just kind of like, this is handy. I might put a bit more. Why am I going to work 9 to 5, like Monday to Friday, when I can stay home, sell a bit of cannabis, and make even more money? Of course that's going to be tempting, especially if you've got kids and shit, man. It's like your time is valuable to you. If you can stay at home and you're meeting up with people you like as well, you know what I mean? When you're selling cannabis with people, like, you know, your friends and friends of friends, you're getting to meet new people. And it's a great way to get out there. It's going to be very social, actually, as a dealer at times. I've definitely went and bought cannabis from a fella, like, and you know, before you know it, there's like an hour after passing and you're after chatting with a dude like you wouldn't have ever really chatted to. I accepted you when you went to buy cannabis from him, like. You know, I'd imagine many of you out there too have that, like. In fact, it's actually such a thing that they made it a part of the fucking Pineapple Express. Seth Rogen's character in that, like, you know, he was that dealer, you know, when you call around to him, he'd want you to smoke the joints, you know, the cross joint scene, like, you know, and your man just really wanted to get the bag of weed and get the fuck out of there, like, you know, that's how much of a thing it kind of is, like, the dealers depend on it, because otherwise, like, if you're a guy who sells cannabis quite often or not, like, you can be quite isolated as well. Like, so when you do get an opportunity to sell cannabis to somebody, this person knows your secret. Thank God I can find, like the barriers come down. You no longer have to kind of protect yourself. Like, you know, you can be free to express yourself more with this person now, because they know your secret you're keeping from everybody else, you know, who doesn't know you're a dealer. So like, that's just something I just thought was funny enough there in that. But in this case anyway, like, well, your man, he was an honours student, like, as a degree for himself. His partner, Holly Wilson, who is the head of commercial business at St. Anne's Cathedral, she was also jailed for her part in the operation, but her sentence was suspended. So this was above in Belfast, as I say, and the Dean of the Belfast Cathedral, Stephen Ford, said that we are aware of the situation going through the courts, and the cathedral is currently following disciplinary procedures and therefore can't say anything further at this moment. So a woman who is working for the cathedral above there, you know, she's just going to be punished now. You know, it's bad enough she's up before the courts, but now she's going to be punished here again by her employer. Like, well, what the hell? Like, why does the employer get to punish him even further? You see over in New York now, where they legalized cannabis, like, they actually went ahead and they're like, your employer can't fire you any longer for your cannabis use outside of work. Obviously, you can't be coming to work and sparking up spliffs on the building site and shit like that. Like, but obviously, you know, but they respect it. Here and under the model of prohibition, it's just like, no, every opportunity you get battered. You get battered by the judges, you get battered by your employers. Crazy to think, like. But it says here that the man in question started out dealing cannabis to close friends after being made redundant several times, and a relationship breakup, but was making so much money that when cops caught him by pure fluke, he had over 9 grand stashed away in his flat and almost a kilo of cannabis for sale. The 30-year-old handed himself into prison authorities on Friday after the judge, 3 days previously, handed him a 12-month sentence in jail for dealing cannabis on a commercial scale. So this guy, 12 months in prison for his part in supplying people cannabis. Again, how many of the people he was selling cannabis to benefited from the cannabis, whether it be from, like, just the relief they got from, like, getting cannabis after a hard week's work, and then on a Friday they're sparking up a spliff and relieving that stress, like, you know, as you do, like, you know, inhaling the good shit and exhaling the bad shit, like, you know what I mean? Inhale the good shit and exhale the bullshit. Relieving the stress, that's what it does. Like, how many people benefited like that? How many people relied on this guy's work to alleviate maybe other more severe conditions, chronic pain being one of them, really? And this guy now has to spend 12 months in prison, and it's unfortunate, like, you know, the people who he was supplying and supporting all along, you know. It wouldn't be great if they came out, you know, fucking your man here in this, what's to say his name, Peter. Fucking Peter's our dealer, free Peter. Like, Peter was good to us. Peter gave us good deals. Peter never let us short in our 50 bags. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it would be great to see a massive community out there behind these people, but unfortunately there never is, man. All of these dealers, all of these growers, they never really get the support afterwards, despite the support they've given the community. Now, obviously, this guy made money, and that was what he was getting back for his part in it. But again, we need to try to change this, because otherwise, like, we're always going to be divided. We're always going to be the dealer and the consumers. And a lot of the times, the consumers don't want to support the dealers. Do you know? We're often kind of like, oh, well, that's his own fault for dealing. It's like, he's dealing to us. He's dealing to us, the consumers. Like, you know, come on. Like, we have to support these people. Like, we can't be looking down our nose on them because, oh yeah, well, he was making money. He knew the risks involved. It's his own, you know? No, like if your dealer gets busted, like, and if he's up in court, like, we should be outside fucking protesting. We should be down there giving an interview to the media saying, do you know, Johnny was up in court and he was selling me cannabis for the last few years, and that cannabis helped alleviate much of my suffering. I'm able to sleep now much better at night time because I suffered with insomnia. And you know, that was thanks to Johnny. And I'm down here outside the court today protesting because I want Johnny to be able to continue growing and selling me cannabis. You know, no, we rarely see this. Why? Because there's fear and stigma. People are divided, and we have to change that. We really do. It's a long old article. Go over and check it out if you want. It's over on the Sunday World there if you want to have a read off it. Again, as I say, your man got 12 months in prison. His partner also got a suspended sentence. He was caught in total with 880 grams of cannabis, so it wasn't even a full kilo that he got caught with. You know, a waste of time locking this up. This woman should be allowed to continue her work with the church, because again, you know, you look at the nuns over there, like what's it called? The something Valley. Jesus, I can't remember what it's called. The Sisters of the Valley, I think it's what they're called, the nuns over in the States. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why can't we be doing that here? Like, why can't the church be growing and providing cannabis for the people in the community who can't afford it? Do you know what I mean? That's their little give back to the community. That's what the nuns are doing over there. Like, you know, it'd be great if we were able to do that here. No, they're going to punish your one now, and she has to say 10 Hail Marys and you know, 40 decades of the 420 decades of the rosary. Oh, God. Podge, what's happening, Podge? I see our super chat coming through there as well. Nice one there for you, Podge, and congratulations on the new job, man. And I hope you're still going strong. Now that you got a new job, Podge, man, stay off the ciggies. You know, when you see the lads going out for their smoking break, Podge, I hope you stay strong, man, and don't fall into it. Nice one for supporting the show there as well today, Podge. And he says, keep her lit, guys, and much love, guys. So nice one there as always, Podge. Great to have you along, bud. So we drive on from there, guys. As I said, if you want to find that article and read it in its entirety, I'm not. It's a very long one. So I'm going to drive on from there. And the next headline is that, again, above in the north, above in Belfast, the cops have seized drugs and cash in Belfast seized are in a search linked to the East Belfast UVF paramilitary crime group. Again, the reason why I was kind of including this, it's not much of an article there to go along with it. Like, there was a search carried out. They found a small quantity of cannabis, cocaine and amphetamines, along with some cash. But the search was targeting people involved with that crime group. But why I'm bringing it up is just again to highlight the need as to why you need to be growing your own cannabis or to be supporting somebody who's growing it themselves. Do you know, if you're getting cannabis from somebody who's getting it from somebody else who's getting it from somebody else, like, you don't know who all these people are, you know, like, you don't know who you're supporting. Like, are you supporting a guy who's buying a cannabis off of an organised crime group who are using fucking Vietnamese slaves in some sort of a house in the Midlands somewhere where there's a person getting dropped off a month's worth supply of food? He has the person has no passport, and they're effectively a slave, a modern day slave, growing your cannabis. Do you want to support that? I wouldn't think people want to support that kind of a trade and organisation. So therefore, like, grow your own. Or if you can't grow your own, then find somebody who is growing their own and who can adopt you in as a member of their association. And check out, I've talked about this numerous times in the show, guys, as to how you can set up as a non-profit organisation and protect yourselves. So what you're doing is not for profit, and you can both argue it out in court and together, you know, if you were to get caught for the grow, or 3 of you, 4 of you, however many it might be. Again, this article, this headline here is just the reason why it's very important to do this. You don't want to support these organised crime groups because you don't know who they are. You really don't. Like, do you want to be supporting the slave trade, you know, the trafficking of people from countries, you know, where they're being exploited because of the living standards that are there? The cost of living is so low that these crime groups have so much money that they can afford to bring these people over. And, you know, it's like, oh yeah, well, we'll send money over there to feed your family, to feed your village, and you're going to stay here and you're going to work in our grow house, and you better not say that, and you better not leave. We're going to take your passport, and if you do leave, we're not going to sort out your family anymore. You know, we're not going to sort out your village. You know, And the power is there for these crime groups to do this. Like, you know, the amount of money you would need to take care of a village over there in Vietnam, you know, it's probably very small in comparison to the amount of money that's made here every week from the drugs trade, from the keeping of slaves, you know. So again, grow your own. Head over to Percy's Grow Room if you want to learn how to grow your own if you don't know how. It's very easy, guys. It's so fucking easy. So we'll drive on, guys, because we've two more headlines there for you. And the next one is coming from the UK. So we're heading over to the mainland in UK, where the police have discovered £2 million of, or a 2 million a year factory of cannabis in Cheshunt. So this cannabis scene that you see here, and it's quite a well organised one, like in fairness, like very well set up. When you zoom in on the plants, like you can see all of the plants have been nicely trimmed, very well set up. Sorry, my phone's ringing there. But very well set up. You can see, and like it's 2 million a year. Like you'd look at 2 million a year. If this is a potential of producing 2 million a year, producing 2 million a year. Like how many people could that potentially employ? You know, that 2 million worth of cannabis has to be sold somewhere. Again, how many people will be employed with this? So again, while the cops have gone in here now and they've destroyed all of this shit, like all of this is going to, all of that's destroyed. Some of the grow lights, the bulbs and the ventilation, the fans, all of that stuff, that's going to be given to, a lot of that gets given to some of the local growers, local nurseries and things like that. But the plants are going to be destroyed, the soil all going to be destroyed, all at the cost of the taxpayers. The UK police actually have a specialist crew, the cannabis dismantling team. Like it's a team that just specializes in coming in and dismantling cannabis grow operations. Like that's how often they're doing it. Like that's crazy. Like if you go down the road and if you got robbed and shit like that, like they don't have a dedicated team to deal with robberies and burglaries. Like, you know, that's just dealt with the police on the beat, you know, your local cops. But like they actually have a dedicated unit to go out and fucking take apart cannabis grow operations. Meanwhile, like these could be providing many jobs for the community. And sadly, it's just the criminals are the ones who are benefiting, while our community and our society pays the massive price. Like a lot of times this electricity gets stolen. Look at all those lights. Like imagine if this electricity was being stolen in this operation. Like again, that's money from the taxpayers. Like is we are yeah, that has to be paid for by somebody anyway. Somebody's paying for this. So it's a waste of time. That if that was illegal and regulated like that, all that electricity would have to be paid for, and there'd be profits, taxes paid for it. You know, oh man, it's just the benefits there are massive. I would love to have fucking been seen an operation like that. In fairness, like sick, like imagine that, like once it's all flowering, like imagine that, like in another 6 weeks, like just fat nuggets, just imagine the smell. It'd be delicious, wouldn't it? All right, we'll drive on, guys, because I've saved the best to last, and I'm going to finish it with a positive bit of news for you guys. In some regards, I might be teasing you, depending on where you're watching this from. But this is my dream job. This is the CBD Oracle, who are hiring a part-time cannabis reviewer and are offering $30,000 a year for their position. What is a cannabis reviewer, you ask? Well, first of all, the CBD Oracle is a California-based online magazine which is dedicated to cannabis and CBD education. The company has made its mission to provide specialized expert advice to those who need it, publishing detailed, informative and entertaining articles, guides and reviews, all backed by the latest scientific studies and research. So that's who the CBD Oracle are, and they're basically looking for a person who is who's passionate about cannabis, is an enthusiast with healthy stamina to smoke and consume cannabis or drop cannabis oil every day. The candidate must have deep knowledge of the plant and the ability to educate and entertain a large audience. Emphasis on cannabis education is paramount. The majority of the US now has some level of access to the cannabis products, resulting in more people entering into the market and seeking out the very best, most effective products available to them. This is often a difficult and confusing journey to take, especially with thousands of products already out there. Those lucky old Yanks. They go on to say that we're really at the precipice of something great in the cannabis industry, as legalization and cultural acceptance across the majority of the US continues to increase. We need to make sure everyone knows which products are safe and effective and are 100% useful. So the person who is lucky enough to receive this job not only will be paid 30 grand a year to smoke cannabis at home every day, and write and vlog about it, but you'll also be getting you'll receive the latest and best cannabis goods currently on the market to test and evaluate, including new strains, oils, edibles, vaporizers, infused beverages, and also intimacy lubes, which can be tried alone and both with a partner. Yeah, like that's amazing. Like, imagine that here in Ireland, like as a job, man. I would fucking give an arm and a leg for that job. Like, you're going to pay me 30 grand a year to sit at home and do what I already do and to talk about it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I already do this shit. Like, if I could do that, like, man, imagine that. Like, that'd be amazing. I'll get on to them there. Maybe they have a position for me in some other capacity. Send me over some of those products. Fuck's sake, like, if I had to relocate, like, I would. Jeez, 30 grand a year. Like, okay, 30 grand in American money, it's not a lot, but it's a part-time job. You could still get another job alongside of that. Fucking work in a dispensary then as well, like, get another 30 grand on top of that. Woohoo, I'm on 60 grand a year and I work in the cannabis industry. Do you even work? No, I just smoke cannabis and sell cannabis all day. Apparently, like, that's not a job, you know what I mean? When you're up in front of the judge, like, there's no credit given to the hard work put in there for the drug dealers who put in a lot of work marketing and selling their product. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a full-time job. Like, come on, give them credit. But yeah, as I said, I'd like to finish on a bit of positive news. So that is the positive news feed today, guys. That is it then for today. Hope you all enjoyed that bit of 420 news. I thought it was going to be a shorter one for you today, guys, but I still managed to go over the hour. I'm going to have to fucking try to work in that. Like, I'd like to try to get this show down to an hour, like, maximum an hour. Like, that should be it. Like, at 59 minutes, I should be saying my goodbyes after reading all of the comments and everything. Like, but we'll get there. It's a work in progress a year later. Also, I have to look into that. Like, my 1 year anniversary since starting up the show is coming up as well. I've been doing this now for nearly a year. I put out the first episode of it in May last year. I'm not sure what exact date it was in May I put this the episode out. But yeah, almost a year doing Martin's World. 420 News came a little bit later on, maybe July or August, something like that. I think I started doing the 420 Newses. But yeah, you know, almost a year. Who would have thunk it? Fucking time flies when you're locked down. John Finnegan says, feck, you can't teasing us poor Irish people with that job. And I struggling to get enough to make a joint. You're a bad man, Martin. Well, no, John, I'm just letting you know of the job opportunities available overseas. And if you're not willing to travel, then I'm trying to inspire people as to what we need to be fighting for here. Like, how many people out there would love to have a job like that here in Ireland? Well, I can guarantee you, if cannabis was to be legalized in the morning, there's going to be a job out there for somebody who's got an articulate way in which they can, you know, describe things. Like, you know, they've got a real passion for cannabis, but also just got a good grasp of the English language. I know I certainly don't have the greatest grasp of English language. I try my best. But when it comes to describing things in an artistic, fancy way, like, no, I'm just fucking, I'm very bad. I'm good at stuff off the cuff, like, but if I was to sit down and try to be artistic or creative, like, I could be very I don't know. I'm my own worst critic, I think, at times, like. But yeah, it's what's potentially coming for us down the line, like. So guys, if you want it, like, get out and fight for it. If we all get out and fight for it together, like, we'll get it a lot sooner. Literally, like Imagine how powerful it would be if we were able to coordinate it. 10 people in every county around Ireland, in the Republic of Ireland, going to a local Garda station with a bit of cannabis in a civil disobedience protest. That would be fucking massive. It would have to be picked up on. Like, the media ignored my latest protest there on 420. The media ignored the previous one where I went to Micheál Martin's house with a cannabis plant. Not his house, sorry, his office with a cannabis plant. They ignore that. Like, these are worthwhile reporting on, 30 people in the middle of the city centre smoking cannabis for 2 hours straight with very loud reggae music, which was advertising the consumption of cannabis. Like, the music was calling for the legalization of cannabis. The music was like Jimmy Cullen's song, Bob Marley's songs, like, it was very worthwhile reporting on. Same with going to Micheál Martin's office, very worthwhile reporting on. Why aren't they reporting on it? Why aren't they engaging on it? Because they know the message is strong. They know that if they were to entertain what I'm doing, give me the attention that I deserve and that I'm looking for, that would only empower me more. And it would get me more attention from a wider audience. While I have a lot of supporters here, if I could get my message out to a wider audience, I would get a lot more supporters, a lot more people. And then it would go from 10 people to maybe 20 people to 30 people before we know it. Like, we could literally just bring the Garda stations to a stop, to the point where the government have to say, look, we can't criminalise this any longer. Like, it's coming anyway. It's coming, guys, and we just have to speed it up. We look at the shit there recently with Blooms, and I apologise to Blooms actually for not including it in today's headlines. I'm just recalling it now. But Blooms Cafe in Waterford, I believe they were based. Waterford. But they got raided 3 years ago. They had 12 kilos of cannabis seized from them, and their case was dropped recently. That tells you, like, that there's not much interest there from the director for public prosecutions to bring these things any further, because they know they can't win. They're admitting defeat now in doing this and dropping the case. I think it's only going to be a matter of time before Little Collins gets a letter in the door to say, hey, we're dropping your case as well, despite them only more recently having seized again another 6 kilos, as I reported on earlier in the week, from Little Collins. So that the time is coming, guys, and as I say, like, guys, just bite down. Come on, let's not be afraid. Let's overcome that fear. We have to do it, and we could really get change to happen if we could do that. So yeah, I'll read some of your comments there, guys, before I rant on it any longer, and we'll drive on then. I'll leave you get on about the rest of your weekend. I have a meeting to go to there as well since 5 o'clock, but I'm sure the guys at the Patients for Safe Access are doing quite fine without me. Who else is out there? Gary Murphy, what's happening, Gary? He says, loving the show, Martin. Nice one for that, Gary. Appreciate it, man. Glad to have you by. And John Roach says, you tell him, Martin. Will indeed, man. I'm up in court actually next month on the 13th of May. I believe it's the 13th of May, for that appeal for €10 worth of cannabis. So yeah, the 13th of May, which is on a Thursday. Yeah, look forward to that one. I'll do a little live from outside of the court. I'll go in there all sweaty after my charity run, sure, and smoke a bit stinking of cannabis. Sean is saying, set up a Martin's World Telegram group, Martin. Powerful group features and public search features. Yeah, nice one for that. I'll certainly get on top of doing that. And yeah, just send me your number there, or some way of adding you on Telegram there through DM, and we'll get you set up. Miss Dowways as well saying, fair point. Well, I'd be the second member anyway. Know a couple of outdoor peeps too who'd love to join. That's the job. Happy days. See, there's a nice old community going. I was thinking of doing something on Discord as well, but I think actually Telegram would be a lot more secure, wouldn't it? So I'll certainly get on top of that. Other comments out there, guys. Daily Talker's asking, what strain do you guys recommend to fill a nice dense tent? Geez, I see some comments coming in there from guys. Mustawa is saying, I'm having a 5 plant and veg stage. Have a successful grow of 6 last year. I have a bit of space at home and to grow somewhat safely. And Ross Dr. Green Thumb then is recommending Wedding Cake, and Jack is recommending Gigabud. Yeah, good recommendations there coming in. One that I would recommend was Chronic Kush. That was a really nice one. Really took well to topping. I seen it being topped very well and producing a very nice even canopy. But again, that gardener was quite talented and very attentive to his gardening. But again, the potential is there. If he could do it, you can do it. I am Toby says, I've just got a 2x4 thinking about putting 2 photos in a 26 litre. Nice. Yeah, 2 photos in a 26 litre. That will do well, actually. Give him a nice 6 to 8 week vegging period there, and flip those suckers, and yeah, you'd certainly get some nice rewards. Big pots, like yeah, I'm definitely a big believer in big pots, big root systems. A big root system is going to be able to provide for a big plant above the ground. Wardrobes do a really do a decent job, really, and that's coming in from the Scatanist. Now, I've heard good things about wardrobes, all right, especially with LEDs nowadays. I've had a buddy who was growing in a wardrobe before, and he was using a 250 watt metal halide. Man, he had issues with heat. But I think wardrobes nowadays, along with those LEDs, man, you should have no issues at all with heat. I think it would be a lovely environment to do it with. Once you have good ventilation inside of there. Other comments coming in there as well. Ross Dr. Greenthumb, bigger roots, bigger buds. And John Roach saying, don't drink and drive, smoke and fly, guys. I'm gonna blaze one up there, guys, and I'll read out 1 or 2 more comments, and I'm gonna have to sign off then, guys, because I'll have to grace the guys with my presence there at that meeting before they sign off. Steve Jones saying plant everywhere. They should keep the Gestapo busy. Yes, sir. And sweet, let's get on some Messenger to discuss savage stuff. So yeah, guys, if anybody wants to be added to that Telegram group that's going to be created there quite soon, drop us a message there in the Messenger, and we'll get you added in, or drop me an email through the Gmail account, and we'll get you added in. So guys, I'm going to start signing off from there. So guys, hour and a half now almost into the 420 news. These things kind of just go on and on at times, but I enjoy the shit out of them. I enjoy the conversation with yourselves as well. It's great. I see a really good community of people out there engaging with each other as well as with the show. So thanks very much, guys. It's really great to see. And as I say, I really hope to see you out in person again. I've gotten to meet quite a number of people now, actually, out in the streets. I'd be jogging through the city, and I'd be getting, "Hi, Martin, Martin's World." I'd be just like, "What's that? Hi." It'd be embarrassing at times, like, you know, my kids, to be shocked. Like, I was up getting petrol there from a local garage up in the Tolsons there in Mayfield about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And we were getting a bag of coal as well, and I sent my daughter in to pay for the petrol. And when my daughter went in to pay for the petrol, she said that she paid the man the money, and then the man came out behind the counter and walked out in front of her. And he was coming out to say hi to me, and he was coming out to say, like, "Oh, I watch the show, man, love it, man, keep it up, all this shit, like, keep her lit." And my daughter was just like, "Oh my God, Dad, like, there's so many people, like, watch your show, you're really famous." Like, but it was embarrassing as well, like, but you know what, I'd be delighted as well. Like, it's great to see people like that reaching out to me, because it really lets me know as to the reach of the show. You know, it's getting out there, and people are hearing the message, and that's great, you know. Over 1,400 people subscribed on the YouTube, you know, I think there's nearly 3,000 people have been following on Facebook. The Twitch is slowly picking her up now. I don't know, we've almost 50 over on Twitch, but we're getting there, you know what I mean? Quite a big audience. So as I say, it's not about the show, it's about the message of the show. So the more people this message gets to, the better. As I say, like, it's a call to action for people. Like, the show's about activism. The show's about getting into the minds of people to get them to question the current narrative, the way in which we do things, and the prohibition of cannabis, this war on drugs. That's what the show is all about. While it carries my name, it's not about me. I'm just sharing my experience with you, sharing my time with you. That's about it. Do you know? So guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Keep her lit out there. I see Mr. Scooby-Doo as well. Keep her lit, man. It's an absolute pleasure to be able to bring the show to you guys. And John Finnegan says, catch you in the next cartoon, Mr. Condon and all his cohorts. So till next time, guys, same time, same place, 4:20 on Monday, bank holiday Monday actually, guys, but I will get out and I'll do something on Monday. I'll have a new show for you, make up there for Wednesday. So stay blazed out there, guys, and keep her lit. Have a lovely weekend, guys. Peace.